Hello, everybody. JB here with Soccer Dad Pod. It's a beautiful day here in the Lou. We are ready and set for another episode. And this time, this is 2 in a row where we're Zooming, and this one was absolutely mandatory because our guest today is a number of time zones away, and we're really stoked. We are, super just kind of taken aback at his willingness to come onto the show and tell a story, because not only are we going to be able to ask some questions that intrigue us, but these are likely questions that if you're a soccer fan and you've been watching streaming services at all, you probably have the same question. So that's a little clue on who we have today. I want to recap our last episode. We had Julie Softner and her son Louis, the daughter and grandson of Jim Scott of Scott Gallagher fame. Just an incredible conversation where they, told stories about the early days of the club and the vibe in the station wagon to the buses, traveling around, the importance of really taking care of the kids in the club. Just a really fun conversation. We talked about the Living Legacy Foundation over at Scott Gallagher that is intended. It's an endowment that helps families in need, cover the expenses that are associated with the club and the game that they have coming up that intended to raise money for that endowment. And that is a spring friendly between the Indiana University and St. Louis, your own St. Louis University Billikens. That's April 1st out at Soccer Park, 3:00 in the afternoon. So if you can, go check it out. We continue to be amazed and appreciative of the listener support. The numbers just keep going up. Have no idea why and where that's coming from, but we are thankful. So, today's guest is going to be a fun one. We've spoke a number of times on the show about the cultural impact of television on the rise of popularity of soccer in the States, due to Ted Lasso, and in particular, the other show on HULU, which is called Welcome to Wrexham, has had just an incredible impact on bringing awareness to the game, to the team, and just really kind of the enthusiasm for the culture that the game creates. Today's guest is directly just a huge part of that whole story. Not only is he from Wrexham, not only is he a Wrexham fan, but he is Mr. Wayne Jones, the owner of the Turf Pub located at the Racecourse grounds. And for all of you that have watched the show, yes, it's that Wayne Jones, the tall one that looks extremely frustrated when trailing and unbelievably happy when they're not. This is going to be a fun conversation. Really hope you enjoy it. We really love what we love about Wayne is his role and really just kind of the community's role from Wrexham in the story, because we all know that even the guests that we've had, they've all had their highlights and their fame on the field and the cups and the wins and all of that. But when it comes right down to it, soccer is about community. It's about your love affair with the team and that process through the good and the bad. And we're going to jump right in to Wayne giving us a little bit of background into the bad, the pre-Ryan and Rob days, what was going on and the fear, and then we're going to move right into the transition of where they're at today. So hope you enjoy the show. Please give us a follow, shout out a review, and we will take it from here. Thank you.
So what happened is Wrexham have had several really shady owners where they've just taken every penny out of the club and built flats on the land and et cetera, et cetera. And they touch a little bit on it in the show where a guy called Hamilton, who ironically I didn't see him. I was living in Australia, so I missed that entire episode. But there's another guy that you can, if you're interested, you can Google a guy called Jeff Moss, who is actually from Chester, who are our big rivals, obviously. And he came in and he actually did more damage than Hamilton. And Rob McElhenney wasn't aware of this guy. When I had a beer with him, I said, you touch on Hamilton, and he was a big factor. But there's a guy called Jeff Moss who tried even more to demolish the ground, demolish the turf, and all the rest of it. Thankfully, he didn't succeed, but he came very, very close in the fact that the football club was given 12 hours to survive it, so that the league that we play in, which is the National League, they put a £250,000 bond on our head. If we didn't pay it within 12 hours, we were going to be expelled from the league, and that would be the end of Wrexham Football Club's 163-year history. So, thankfully, the fans rallied round. I got a knock on the turf door and rallied the troops, and everybody else rallied the troops, and the £250,000 was raised in, by that evening. So people were giving deeds to their houses, they were giving their life savings, they were giving all sorts just to keep the club afloat. So not only has the turf had a really not checkered past, but a real sort of danger around it, but the football club has had a bigger danger around it, and they go so. I mean, they're inextricably linked. So, this guy, he come. I forget his name. The guy that campaigned to save the turf.
Rodri Morgan.
Say again, sorry.
Rodri Morgan.
Correct. Yes, you're right. Correct. Yeah. So what happened was, because like I said, I wasn't living here then. I was in Australia, but I believe he got local councillors involved, and there was a massive march around Wales with tens of thousands of people saying that the pub shouldn't be touched. The pub is part of Wrexham Football Club, and they go hand in hand. And thankfully, the council made it a listed building, which in the UK means that you can't demolish it. So yeah, roll forward 15 years, and it's in the strongest position it's ever been. And a lot of that is down to our hard work, me, my wife, and our staff. But a lot of that is also, thankful. We're very thankful to Rob and Ryan because they've given us another boost yet again. So yeah, the turf has had some darker times, but I mean, it's going, touch wood, it's going nowhere now because it's certainly the place to be.
So on that note, your wife stumbled through the door a few minutes ago, which was comical for us on the video side. It might not play as well on the audio side, but we'll do something to make that work. But I've been married for almost 21 years, and I don't work with my wife, and I don't spend 8 hours plus per day with my wife. And so I'm just curious how that's been going for you, and how you guys manage to stay business partners, working hard in a very up and down business, and keep things working on the mailing side.
Yeah, and let me add one more question component to that. Because the microscope is so much, the heat is on now. With everything that's happening, would love to hear how that's working out with you guys, and if you are loving the process.
Yeah, well, truthful answer to your question is my wife's behind me so she can hear me. But Shelley,
should we ask her? We'll ask her.
Yeah. Do you want to say hi, Shell?
Hey, what's up?
My wife's a civil servant. She works for the government, so she doesn't actually work in the pub full time, which is the answer as to why it works. We would kill each other, absolutely kill each other if we worked 8 hours a day. So, but she is very supportive. She will come and help on really busy match days. She will come and help on, if I need a few hours off, she'll always step in and help. So she's very supportive. But we actually have future plans to spend major money and to build where the butty van is now that you can see on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
To remove that little thing and to build like a £500,000 second turf, if you like, because we just can't get enough people in. So if that is successful, we've got talks next week. If that's successful, then maybe we've discussed possibly Shelley leaving a civil service job and coming to work for us full time. So if you try to ask me again in a year's time and I'm dead, there's the answer to your question.
Hey, how's your life insurance policy? Your premiums all up to date,
partners
right?
in the background. She's shouting partners in the background. So
there you go. Well, hey, just
no, it works.
No, it's okay. I just want to just kind of update everybody, remind everybody. We got Wayne Jones on here with us, the bartender extraordinaire, made globally popular by Welcome to Wrexham. He's exceptionally good looking compared to Ryan and Rob, so he's got that going for him as well. So We want to get that out of the way. Earlier you were talking about we're getting into kind of the early days when this is all going. The rumors were swirling, and then everything came to fruition. What I'm really curious about is the pub culture and the vibe within the pub from the regulars and everything. Because this show kind of alluded to clearly apprehension and certain doubt, and then others that were like, how do we turn down this opportunity, etc. What was it like at the pub? Whenever you late night in the middle of the week, couple pints strewn out, and then everybody's a genius at that point, right? How were the conversations early on and through those early transition days? What did the pub community think about everything that was going on?
I think everybody was just absolutely super excited, really, really keen to get it over the line. Like I said, 31 years of pretty much always misery watching Wrexham. You become a bit of a cynic. So I think there was a bit of apprehension as to the thought that it possibly could collapse. Let's not forget that Wrexham Football Club was averaging around 5,000 fans before Rob and Ryan. So for our level of football, that is pretty impressive. But under the Supporters Trust ownership, which is what we were heavily reliant on, I would say, and I'm guessing here, but I would imagine 80% of our turnover was probably through people coming through the turnstiles. So when COVID hit, we were, we were in real danger of potentially folding because, we weren't cash rich. We were, and without supporters coming through the turnstiles, which is 80% of our turnover, and the other 20% is, sponsorship, which they're not going to sponsor you because there's nobody watching the game. So, we were in a dark place. So I think Wrexham supporters at that time, when it first came around, were just so relieved that, we couldn't believe it. And two, we were just going, okay, well, we really need this to happen. Because when I look back now and I talk to people in the pub now about this, we say we really, really dread to think where Wrexham Football Club may have ended, had Rob and Ryan not come into town. So, yeah, it's a thought that I don't like to think about, because I would imagine the next step would have been part-time, because we wouldn't have had the finances to keep going full-time.
Sure.
And then that has its own problems, because if you go part-time, you then get less people through the gates because people think you lack ambition. And then if you get less people through the gates, we have this huge, lovely stadium that is crumbling down around us, that obviously we now own because Rob and Ryan have bought it, but we didn't back then. And we were paying £120,000 a year rent, plus we had the upkeep of it. So, yeah, we were in a dark place. So in answer to your question, it was one of trepidation because we were scared it was going to fall through. People were super excited. People were texting and phoning. Have you heard anything? Do we know what's going to happen? And all the rest of it. And I think it was only 31 people out of thousands and thousands that voted no. And we call them people sad bastards, because otherwise the club was going nowhere. So, we often joke about the 31. What do they think now, looking at what they've achieved in 2 years?
Yeah, was it an open vote? Do you know who the 31 are, and are they?
There's been an active pursuit of them. We've allocated. We found a few. We think.
Yeah, they should be buying.
The terms would be glad to know.
They should be like just a rotating door of buying rounds and rounds and rounds at the pub, like out of punishment for their short-sightedness, right?
Or they're like American politicians who didn't vote for certain bills.
It wasn't me.
Put signs up that say, "Look what I did."
Yeah,
they're taking advantage of it. So I have a kind of a different question for you, Wayne, in that I listened to you on a different podcast where there was two American blokes that talked a little bit about football. Have you been to the U.S. before?
Yeah, so before I met Shelley, my wife, I went, me and the guys from Turf, we flew into Vegas, did Phoenix, LA, San Francisco, and back around to Vegas. But in June this year, me and Shelley, so my wife turned 40 last year, I've just turned 40. Sorry, I turned 40 last year, my wife's just turned 40 in January. So we fly into Boston in June, this coming June. We got a couple of days there, then we're down into New York for 3 days. We're in Philly for 3, where Rob's looking after us, and then we're in Washington, and then we're going to hire a car, and we've got 5 days, where we're going to possibly drive down to Asheville, that kind of neck of the woods, and then drive back. And I should say that it's not been announced yet, but Wrexham are going to be playing a friendly. The first team, there's a Legends team that's been announced, but there's going to be Wrexham's current teams, so Mullin and all the rest of them. We're going to be over. Well, I say we. The football team is going to be over there in mid-July. We believe it's going to be in North Carolina. So the plan. So our plan, me and my wife's plan, was to go for 3 weeks, but she's very kindly allowed me to trim that to 2 weeks so I can fly back over with the guys in mid-July. So I've only been to America once, but I'll be there twice this summer.
Yeah, because the July game, I think it was just announced here. It is at North Carolina versus Chelsea.
Yeah, I find that a little bit bizarre. I'm not too sure how I feel about that because I'm not really a lover of Chelsea, if truth be told. But I would imagine it will be Chelsea's. Is Chelsea your second string?
That's well, they're my first because we just now got this team. So I've been a blue lover since '90 when I was a little kid.
You remember obviously the Graham Lassos and all the rest of them.
Yep, I was pre-Russian oligarch money, so it was. I have a little bit of a soul left, but then I tossed the soul out whenever the cups just kept coming in and coming in and coming in. You know.
Yeah. You know, I say I have a dislike for Chelsea, not as much as I have a dislike for Man United. Chelsea, the only thing with Chelsea that got me was I wasn't a Mourinho fan. I just something about the guy that drove me nuts.
The fact that he self-anointed himself as the great one.
Yeah,
that might have
to be fair to him, he was a serial winner, wasn't he? You know, the guy probably on the decline now. There's a big rumor actually over here that Mourinho is going to be the next US national coach. I don't know if there's any rumor over there.
Well, we have all kinds of rumors because our national coach search is, I mean, it's a straight up soap opera. It's a shit show, much like our capital. So we pretty much have shit shows at all levels right now. So, you know, it's one of those things. That was actually one of my questions. You know, outside of Wrexham, okay, somebody holds a gun to your head. You know, pick your team. You can't pick Wrexham. Who's the B team? Who do you support and not tell anybody?
I'll tell you no lies. So I have a soft spot for Liverpool because my father's a Liverpool. My father's a Wrexham fan, but his second team is a Liverpool thing of mine. So me and my wife have got a soft spot for Liverpool. Been to Anfield. We're very lucky that we're only 40 minutes away from Anfield. So if Wrexham are playing somewhere really bizarre that I've been to several times, you know, it's a 10-hour round trip, then I can get a ticket for Anfield. Then I will. If I can ever get time off. I haven't been since before COVID, but yeah, I've been to Anfield on a couple of dozen times. It's a really special place. For me, it's almost like the home of football. But but listen, if you ask me now if there was an FA Cup final and Wrexham played Liverpool, I would very much be in the Wrexham camp. I'm a Wrexham guy. You know, Wrexham's my team. But, you know, if Wrexham are struggling, then I want to see Liverpool beat Man United and beat the rest of them guys. So, Liverpool's seconds.
Cool. Well, I tell you what. Here's what we're gonna do real quick. If it's all right with you, we're gonna take just a quick break, pause. We'll be right back on here. We have to thank people for allowing us to do what we do, and we'll be right back to ask you more questions about this chaos that is. Welcome to Wayne's World. So, thank you for your time, man. We'll be right back.
Your shirt looks very similar to.
No, go ahead.
Your shirt looks very similar to Watford. It's got a Watford feel to it. Your badge is very Watford.
It does from a distance. It's so what it is basically the arch. St. Louis is known for the arch, the big metal arch, right? But the way they designed it is we also have the Mississippi and the Missouri River and the Illinois River that all kind of come in together. So all the lines are supposed to be like the confluence of the area. So. Kind of well thought out there. We are back, Soccer Dad Pod. We have a little Badfinger on the tunes today. One of the greatest rock bands from Wales ever. In honor of our guest, Mr. Wayne Jones, the proprietor of the most popular pub in Wrexham. You know, Wayne, again, thank you for coming on. You know, we've touched on a number of things today, and I'm just really, really curious, leaning into just kind of the culture. You know, the shift that you guys have went through, because you know, you talked earlier about the struggle that the club was going under for a number of years, and then you lead up to COVID. And COVID was just such a global knockout punch to so many institutions. In your small community, the effect that it had on the club, was scary, to say the least. And in such a short period of time, the effect of the new ownership group and the sponsorships and the television and what other things are we missing that you just couldn't have fathomed was going to be a result, such as, how is tourism these days? How is just, your Monday night happy hours probably are not the same as they were 3 years ago. So, paint a little bit of a picture of kind of what the community culture is like, kind of as a byproduct of everything that's been going on.
I mean, it's very difficult to put into words. There's several things that spring to mind. I certainly wouldn't have envisaged Wrexham getting sellout crowds on Tuesday nights, sellout crowds pretty much every game. Me having to do everything in my power to source tickets for people that have come from every part of America that you can imagine. So, me and my mates went, and there was 4,000 or 5,000 there, and you would joke that you could lie down in your row of seats because they were empty and things like that. But yeah, I mean, we're getting sellout crowds. We have TikTok as our main sponsor, which is just blows your mind when you think the amount of money that they're worth, and the Premier League clubs that would fall over themselves to get that deal through the water. So I was sort of pre-warned. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Rob or Ryan. I can't remember. They sort of said to me a couple of weeks before the show was due to air, because at that point I was really starting to get a bit anxious, because let's not forget, I'm just a local guy that runs a bar that is works 6-7 days a week. I'm just a publican, so, and I'm just a local normal guy. So when I agreed to help them do the show, it was on the theory that, one, the football club benefits, and two, that they don't make us out to be something, some like the laughing stocks of the world. That would have been the worst thing, because I have to live here. I love this town, but I have to live here. It can be very unforgiving if you slate them. So although I was conscious of the fact that I didn't really say anything untowards, and I tried to be honest and truthful all the way along, a week before I got really anxious, because I was thinking, it's 2 years since I started filming. A lot of water has gone under the bridge in this time. So yeah, I was really, really anxious. But I remember Rob or Ryan saying to me, you need to brace yourself for tourists. And I kind of laughed at them and said, behave, like, don't talk stupid. And they've absolutely nailed it, because pretty much every single day of the week now, well, when I left tonight, there was 6 Canadians, 5 Americans, a couple of Australians, and that's a quiet day. So yeah, it's hard to describe how much it's changed. We have that food truck outside that you see. So yeah. I'm on that 7 o'clock I'm on that 7 o'clock or 7:30 if the lady's working for me every day of the week. And then I come home 5:30 because I'm shattered. But so I'm still sort of wrapped up in my own little bubble. But now in the day, I have to spend 10, 15, 20 minutes speaking to these people that have come from afar, because it's the right thing to do, because they've come, they want to see the pub, they want to see the stadium, and they want to chat, and they want a selfie and all the rest of it. And that's absolutely fine, because my small, tiny little part in this whole thing that's happening to this town and this football club is to make them feel as warm and welcome as I possibly can, and my team can. And if we do that and people return, then we've done our job. So, and we're friendly people anyway. It's a very, very friendly town. So, yeah, it's night and day from where we were 30 months ago. But it's all positive. It's absolutely positive.
So incredibly friendly, except for those 31.
That didn't vote for the.
Yes, well, we banished them to the Welsh Hills. They're no longer with us.
JB here with Soccer Dad Pod. I just wanted to jump in here real quick and remind you, City SC home games are upon us. So please do not forget, Wellspent Brewery, 3 blocks away from the stadium, can be just an amazing option for you pre and post game. Great beer selection, plenty of NA options, tamales to boot, and you have parking and just a beautiful walk right down Olive to the stadium. Great solution for what will inevitably be the chaos that will be City SC home games. So keep that in mind. We're going to bring you right back in here to our conversation with Wayne Jones, the owner, proprietor of the Turf Pub at Wrexham. So let's get into a little bit of football/soccer here. I was completely enamored by the recent games, the FA Cup matchups in particular, the Sheffield games specifically. So most listeners of our show are familiar with what happened. I'm really curious as to how you felt about those games in particular, given the run that we've just talked about, coming from where you were 2 years ago to now. Because I don't know if you know this, but here in the States, that first week in the first leg of the matchup, ESPN Plus, which was carrying the game, the Wrexham game had the highest ratings out of any soccer matches on the ESPN network that weekend. So, a fifth division team, playing who they did. How did those games? Did you feel like those games were kind of like an aha moment? Like, here we are. This is what's happening. The kind of the global impact of the rise. What did you think about that matchup?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't aware. Rob WhatsApped me and said, "How mad is this? Wrexham have had the highest, TV viewings on ESPN Plus, I think." So, I think he was taken back by it as well, if truth be told. Them games. We're so desperate to get up the National League that our supporter base was a little bit split, because obviously we had in the first game we were 3-2 up in the 95th minute and just completely switched off for the corner, and we got done. In hindsight, if we'd have hung on, we would have played Tottenham Hotspur, which would have been a glamour tie. I can't speak for every supporter, but me personally, I'm kind of an eggs all in one basket, and we're never going to win the FA Cup. So I just want us to put every bit of energy, and we took two big injuries in the first leg. So we lost Hayden and Tunnicliffe, our two big defenders. Hayden is an exceptional player. He could quite comfortably play in the Championship. So we lost them two players, and then we conceded in the last minute to draw 3-3, and then there was a replay. So I was thinking, okay, we're 2 players down. We've now got this one extra game. At that point, we were 6 or 7 points behind Notts County with 3 games extra to play, which we had to fit into on an already tight schedule. So although I went to Sheffield United for the replay, and again, we lost at the end, I drove home still, I was proud of the team for running a team that will 99.9% certain to be in the Premier League next year. We run them very close the first game. We run them incredibly close the second game, although they were better than us the second game. And we took them twice. We took them to the 95th minute. So I was proud of the fact that we'd achieved that. But my overriding emotion was, right, I'm glad we're out. Now we can focus on getting out the National League. Now we can get these games played. And as it's transpired, we're only 1 game behind now. I'm sure your listeners are aware, but we're now top. We're a point clear, and we have 1 extra game to play. So, okay, a lot of that was because Notts County, lost at the weekend. But we in February, we had 8 injured players, and we picked up 19 points out of 21. So, and that was 7 games played Saturday, Tuesday. It takes its toll. So, yeah, I enjoyed the FA Cup run. I think the 4th round is it that we got to, or the 5th round, I forget, was about where we needed to get to. We had the exposure. We made the money from it. People say we don't need the money. Of course we need the money. We're not that reliant on Rob and Ryan. Of course we need money. We're not going to turn down £1 million that we made from it, or whatever it might be. So we made the money. We had the exposure. But I think the time was right to get out of it and focus on what is the be-all and end-all for us, which is obviously promotion. So, yeah. I find it bizarre that thousands and thousands and thousands of people from not just America but Canada and Australia are tuning in, and that's quite reflective in the amount of tourists that we're getting, I guess, because they all wanted to come to the games and things like that. So, yeah, it's like I say, it's bonkers away from where we were 3 years ago.
So let's kind of keep going down the path. Then the season is clearly leaning your guys' way right now. You look solid. You seem to be relatively healthy across the board. You've got a few knocks. The mental state of the team, kind of the way they played. I mean, the confidence level is just, as a viewer, as a lover of the game, watching it, they look confident. Like there was no fear in those FA Cup matches in particular. It's like, they're just ready. They knew what they had to do. As you move through the second half of the season and you're coming up to that finish line that will be the end all, be all for you. How do you imagine your reaction, or are you anticipating your feelings if you finish top of the table with that promotion? How stressed are you about that prospect? And don't jinx yourself. I'll let you off the hook there. Don't jinx yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I often joke that it was easier to be shit because it's a lot easier to go from 13th place to 12th place. We're not really used to this, this being the top of the tree, scenario. So it's enjoyable because we go into games, and I'll be brutally honest, as a football purist, it's not Wrexham are not great to watch. Wrexham are not a brilliant football side to watch. It's a lot of long ball. It's a lot of Phil Parkinson, who I think is a brilliant manager, but he's known for his style of football. And his style of football is not pretty on the eye. But we've had 15 years in this hellhole of a league, and by hook or by crook, we just need to get out of it. Now, if that means we have to play rubbish football, so be it. So, it's not great to watch, but we're solid and we win games. But we are heavily reliant on moments of magic from the likes of Paul Mullin and Ollie Palmer and these kind of players that are on big money for our level of football. Don't forget. So, we're very reliant. I think Notts County are a better footballing side, if I'm truthful. I think a lot of Wrexham fans would agree with that. But we are solid. We just know how to win games. We've picked up 2.5 points from 3. We're on course to finish our projected figure, point totals of 114 points. That's just absolutely unheard of. So, I tweeted out after we beat Chesterfield on Tuesday, we really need to stop, remember where we've been, and just admire this side, regardless of the style of football that they play, for how phenomenal they are at getting over the line and winning these games. So I've been a pessimist in the past, but I just have an undenying belief that this management team and these players are going to get Wrexham over the line. I think we will win it at Barnet away, which is 2 games to spare. And I just think Notts County have done remarkably well to keep up with Wrexham, not the other way around, because we've got a better squad. So we should be up there. But I don't know. It's not like me. It's against the grain. I'm just confident. I don't worry about them. If they go 1 goal down, they always seem to turn it round. They just always seem to play. So we've scored the most goals in the last 3 minutes of games this season than anybody else in our league. And that is for 2 reasons. That is because we're the fittest squad, because Rob and Ryan have invested in the infrastructure, i.e. the best fitness departments, etc., etc. And we've got winners in our team, and the manager just insists that they keep going until the 93rd, 94th, 95th minute, whatever it may be. And that's a reason why we're scoring so many late goals. So that's a wonderful thing to have. And I just think it's our time. I think we've served our apprenticeship. I think it's our time. We've done the hard yards. And it's our time to get promoted.
So does that ugly style that ends up winning, doesn't that sound a little bit familiar? Like, I believe we just spoke about Mourinho about 10 minutes ago, right? Park the bus, go. I mean, I had to. I mean, it's a big trophy case, Zach. Come on now.
I know.
So a couple questions. Your personal. Not your one-on-one relationship with Rob and Ryan, but your relationship with Rob and Ryan's world. I'm assuming that's probably led to a lot of different interests or aha moments or you didn't know. And one of the questions I have has to do with one of Rob's passions, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm sure you're familiar, right?
I am, yes.
So my question is this: 2-part question. Number 1, did you watch the Super Bowl? And 2, if you did. Was that a holding call at the end?
On my limited knowledge of that sport, over here, it's usually aired around midnight. And these days, I'm normally 5 hours sleeping by then. So, but no, I watched it, and I think the whole of Wrexham was rooting for the Eagles purely because what Rob's done for us.
Sure.
Apart from one of my friends who, for some reason, hates them, but I don't know why. He's a big American NFL fan. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't. I'd be lying if I said I knew the rules inside out. I think I get them. To me, it seemed a little bit harsh. I don't. I mean, he pulled him. Obviously, he pulled him. I seen him pull him. But
sure,
you'll obviously know a lot better than me. I just thought it's for the timing of the action and for the importance of the fixture. I just thought that's a big call. But what I did see a couple of days later, Rob tweeted out a video of all the Philadelphia Eagles players, saying, "We don't blame the referee. Yeah. We had it. It was in our hands. And that was very humbling, actually." I don't know. I wouldn't want to be in that position when I made that call. That's for sure.
No,
I was gutted they lost. Really gutted, purely because I wanted. I've gotten to become friends with the proprietors of Max Tavern, which is Rob's bar in Philadelphia, who we chat to regularly, and I knew he had a busy night, and I just wanted everything to go well for him, and I wanted the town, or the city rather, of Philadelphia to celebrate. But you have to earn the right in any sport, don't you, to go out and win. And fair play the Chiefs, is it?
Yeah,
the Chiefs.
They're from.
You have to say they deserved it in the end.
Yeah, they're from the city across the state. That's not really we don't count them. They think they're a soccer town, but it's one of those things. Talk about rivals. We have that rival. And my question to you is kind of there was a great segue there. Wrexham rival right now. Because you guys have crosshairs on you from everybody at this point because of everything that's going on, not only being top of the table, but clearly the press, etc. How has the rival marketplace evolved for you guys there, the club and your near teams? Who is it, and who's the most vocal to want to knock you down?
Well, our biggest and most historical rival are Chester. So we are 10 miles inside the English border, and right on the other side of the border is Chester. So Chester's the last town in England, Wales is the last town in Wrexham's the last town in Wales. So it's called the cross-border rivalry. And I'd be doing it a disservice if I wasn't truthful. It's absolutely vile. So when we play each other, thankfully we're in different leagues. They're in a league below us, and hopefully next season we'll be in 2 leagues below us. But when we play, it's horrendously bad. There's 200 riot police. It's horrific. It's really, really bad. There's bricks are being thrown, and it's bad. They just don't like each other. So Chester is quite an affluent city. It's a very pretty city, whereas Wrexham's a working class blue collar town. So they're sort of like the posh neighbour that look down their nose at Wrexham, and Wrexham don't really react very well to that. So they are historically our biggest rival. But like I say, they're playing a division below, so we don't cross paths with them that often, thankfully. But at the moment, it just seems like the entire. Well, I wouldn't say the higher level of football, and not everybody, because we've had lots of nice messages. But at the moment, there's a lot of jealousy out there. There's cynics out there that will say, once they've aired the documentary and made a few quid, they're going to be gone as quick as they came. So, yeah, obviously, everybody wants to knock everybody down. My sort of dislike towards Chelsea is because they were winning everything. So I would be a hypocrite saying, it's that kind of feeling. But Chelsea were light years away from where Wrexham are. So. We've got lots and lots and lots of people on social media that will try to bash Wrexham now to say that they buy in the league, and we wish Notts County would just win it and that Wrexham would fail and things like that. But we just have to embrace that we can't do anything about outside talk, and I don't suppose it really affects the people that run the football club.
Yeah.
As a supporter, I just sort of sit back and think, you know what? I remember the dark days when we had no money. I remember the dark days when we had to raise hundreds of thousands of pounds. So we've gone through our hardships. It's not like we've always had this bed of roses. It's not always been like that. So, in fact, it's almost never been like that. So, yeah, listen, these haters are always going to hate. And that's life, and that's even more so in sport. what Wrexham needs to do is put 2 fingers up to them and just go win the league, and then
which 2 fingers?
I'm sure you won't.
Yeah, we're all. Yeah. It's a recorded. You can just show us. Then nobody will know. It's all good.
Yeah, give them one of them.
Yeah, no, I thought that was the 2. So, let's just take 2 seconds and let's dream a little bit. Let's move into the future. 1, 2, 3, 4 years into the future. How often does the what if cross your mind now? That if this momentum continues, if the investment continues, if the results continue to fall in your favor, and you go 2 divisions up, or you start sniffing the championship, and God willing, in a brilliant world, you make it all the way up. Like, do you lay in bed ever and like stare at the ceiling and like dream like a little kid pre-Christmas morning?
6 nights a week, probably. Yes. I don't really allow myself to go there, purely because 15 years is a long time. I mean, the league we are in is shit, really shit. It's got the worst stadiums. Most of the teams have hardly got any supporters, except for a handful. Chesterfield, Notts County, Oldham's, your ex-football league team. So when you drop out of the football, League Two, you go into non-league. So everything about this league is just horrific. So I will allow myself to cross that bridge, and the child in me will come out once we get into the football league, into League Two. So at the moment, as you're well aware, only 1 team gets promoted from our league. It's horrendously difficult. It's really, really difficult. Whereas when you get to League Two, you have 3 automatic promotions places plus 1 playoff, so 4. So very often you will see teams in Wrexham League, Stockport are right up there. So Stockport, who kept us to the league last year, are currently sitting in 4th place. 9 times out of 10, once you get out of the National League, you go straight up again from League Two, because the top end of National League football is better than the majority of League Two. Wrexham have got more money at the moment and better squad than Wrexham's squad is a League One squad, but it's such a we call it a cloggers league, where they just kick you. They don't play a lot of football. So once we get into League Two, then I will start to think, what can we really achieve here? People say, can we reach the top? Listen, I don't think if you didn't believe that, then why turn up? Why look at Bournemouth? So, for example, Wrexham used to wallop Bournemouth when we were a League One team. We used to beat Bournemouth for fun. We used to beat Wigan for fun. We beat Stoke regularly in the league, Sheffield Wednesday. These teams are all big teams that played in the Premier League. So, yes, you have to do it over a sustained period of time. But if these teams can achieve, Bournemouth Football Club can get to the Premier League and stay in the Premier League with 9,000 supporters, then I look at that as an example, and I think to myself, well, if they can do it, then Wrexham sure as hell can do it, because when we build the stand this year, we'll sell out again. We'll have 16,000 supporters. We've and Rob and Ryan are not just chucking bucket loads of cash at it, guys. It's very sustainable. So, and they've got real good people at the helm that are running it correctly. So, I think I honestly do. People laughed a lot at the start when Ryan or Rob was quoted as saying we want to get to the Premier League. But I think more and more people, especially locally now, are going, you know what? Why can't we get there? If what's happened to us in the last 2 years happened to us, from where we've come from, almost the ashes to where we are now, then anything is possible. So it's going to be an exciting couple of years, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Hearing you put it in that light, it's all sports. Any sport, anywhere in the world, it's about dreams. It's about playing the game, and I think that's one of the reasons here in the States. And I'm just wondering what your opinion is just on the effect that you believe shows like Ted Lasso, shows like Welcome to Wrexham, because here in the States, you guys, you probably know better than most because your relationship with the club and those involved. But the love affair from Midwestern Americans that are, corn and basketball or football, et cetera, that are number one, know who Wrexham is, things like that. It's a mushroom effect, and the popularity of the game here is growing. So how does it make you feel that you're part of, really, it's not just what's going on in Wrexham proper, but it's a global phenomenon. Your stories of real people kind of benefiting from this chaos, this craziness. How does that make you feel?
I struggle to answer that. I don't really know. But I think because I'm sort of, I guess I'm in the eye of the storm. So if I was to sort of maybe step back and if I was a supporter that lived, that didn't run the turf, for example, that wasn't on the documentary as much as we are, or I am rather, then I would probably, I'd have a different opinion to what I think the answer is because I'm so cocooned into it every single day, and I keep saying to myself, it's going to slow down. Less tourists are going to come, and less requests for interviews for things and things like that are going to slow down, and all the rest of it. Yeah, it doesn't. Every day, it just keeps coming. And I spoke to Rob, and he said that thousands and thousands and thousands of Americans every day are still streaming it because it's obviously a streaming service. So why would it slow down? And on the back of that, because Wrexham are doing so well, people are engaged. So yeah, I find it bizarre. I've spoken to dozens and dozens of Americans that say the same thing to me. Do you realise how popular Wrexham is in America? And obviously I don't, because I don't live there, but I still, even though they explain it to me, I still find it blows my mind. I find it bonkers, I mean, Wrexham sold 5,000 jerseys before Hollywood took over. They sold 26,000 this year and stopped making them because they couldn't keep up. So, and they've ordered 35,000 just for an additional allocation next year. So it's just, I don't know. I just find it absolutely bizarre. It's one hell of a ride, but we're enjoying it. It's lovely to meet people from all different parts of the world. And they show a genuine interest, there's people that have flown, a lot of the tourists that come by the turf are people that are traveling around the UK. Maybe they've come for a holiday or a vacation. So they drive it. But even these people are driving from London, which is, a 4,500 mile round trip from where we are. And they still come and have a beer at the turf. I find that really bizarre. That's,
well, you know what it reminds me of, and I don't know if it's popular over there. It is very popular here. Is Jeremy Clarkson, right, from Grand Tour, Clarkson's Farm. Are you familiar with the show on Amazon Prime?
Yeah, no, I've not watched it, but I've heard several people talk about it. Yeah, Jeremy Clarkson's a bit of a divided figure in these parts.
No, really, maybe because he's a Chelsea fan, kind of all goes to his head. But
is he a Chelsea fan? Is he?
Yeah, no, but he in the show, the Clarkson's Farm, he starts this. It's a shop. It's a store called Diddley Squat, right? In typical Clarkson style, and it's brought a lot of attention to that neighborhood that didn't want the attention, but like the tourism factor, they talk, and they're making their own beer and all this stuff, and I watched that show in parallel with what's going on Wrexham. And it just amazes me because I think that for me, and Zach, tell me what you think too, because we both watch it the same. Yes, I'm happy for the team. I love the results. I love the competition. I love the game, right? But I'm way more stoked over individuals like yourself and the staff at the stadium, the human element of what that show has exposed. In my opinion, that's the value. Can you? How do your neighbors feel 2 years later, 2 years into this plus? Is there just a general different kind of like a vibe, emotional vibe within the community because of all this? I mean, I have to assume that, but I'd love to hear your description.
No, absolutely. I think everybody, I've, apart from a couple of years when I went traveling that I told you about, I've never seen Wrexham. It's thriving. Everybody it's booming. It's buzzing. Everybody's just got smiles on their faces. Everybody you speak to just wants to talk about how wonderful these guys are, what they've done for the community. Literally every conversation I have. So on our breakfast truck, we probably serve, I don't know, maybe 150 people a day. Now, chances are we might not know 80 people of them because they're coming through town. They're working, and every single one of them wants to ask, what's Rob like? What's Ryan like? What have they done what's brilliant? What they've done for the community? They're genuinely interested. So just the whole vibe is just, it's hard to, I've told Rob and Ryan this to their face, I've said, do you have any idea what you've done? I don't think they do, you know. I don't think they realise, I don't think they grasp quite what they've done just by doing what they're doing. So, yeah, I mean, it's long may it continue because, like I say, you know, when the football club was going through some dark times, that wouldn't just, if Wrexham would have gone to the wall and folded, that would have been catastrophic, not just obviously for a football club, but for the town, because it's the beating heart of this community. Like, without it, there's nothing else in Wrexham where you can attract 10,000 supporters every second Saturday or every second Tuesday.
I got to be honest, I love the parallel. And Zach, you know, check me on your feeling on this. St. Louis has a tremendous legacy of soccer history. St. Louis is also an industrial town. My hometown, right across the river, it's a steel town. It's a dying steel town that is trying to recover. Our whole area is blue collar. Our neighborhoods are based upon these community clubs that have turned into great academies and things like that. And we've had success. Soccer's brought our region love and passion for a long, long time. But St. Louis struggles. Has a knock on crime. It has a knock on a lot of other things. Industry has fell. And now here we are with our team, City SC, in the MLS, first year. And it feels like a rebirth. It feels like the team is bringing some love and passion, you know, into our community that kind of needed it on different levels. Not on a soccer level, because we were good on a soccer level until we're in the league. But Zach, you know, what do you think about that? And Wayne, you know, does it make you feel good that those parallels exist and that you guys are able to tell your story on a larger scale?
For me, I think it just goes back to why we started the show, is to tell stories about how soccer or football has influenced and impacted your life. And, you know, Wayne, you started talking about how you were a player and you broke your leg twice in the same season
on the same
and
day.
It changed the direction of your career. And now, you know, 20 years later, you're talking about working with two of Hollywood's biggest people. The town has been reinvigorated. And I asked you the question about what you would recommend and what advice you would give. And I think what you said epitomizes and kind of brings us back full circle to just embrace it. Embrace the fact that this thing is something you can get behind and build a community on, build friendships, build relationships, and really just embrace it for what that is. And it's so much more than just a game. And so that's what I take from that, JB, is that soccer is, to most people in this area, more than just a game. It's a way of life. It's a part of life. And it feels like Wrexham, obviously, in St. Louis are going to be very different in a lot of aspects. But I think there's a lot of parallels between that, because we do pin a lot of our hopes and dreams and happiness on the success or failures of the teams that we support. Now, the difference is in St. Louis, we have Major League Baseball and we have, you know, National Hockey League. I don't think Wrexham has a lot of other professional sports teams out there, but you glom on to what you love, and thankfully soccer is growing in popularity here. So I think it's great. And I my only question back to you, Wayne, in addition to JB's or adding on to it, is these last couple minutes, you know, I just wanted to say you have kind of emerged as a star out of this. You're going to experience something, I think, quite unique in your next trip to the US that you did not experience the last time. Especially when you go to Philly and you're hanging out with Rob. Not that I think you're going to be paparazzi to death by any means, but I think you're going to be recognized, and that's going to be interesting. So I'm curious, what are your plans? Are you going to wear are you going to grow out a beard? Are you going to wear glasses, lots of hats, wear a Chelsea jersey, something to throw people off? What's your plan to be anonymous when you come over to the US?
No, I mean, listen, again, several people have said that to me, that you will be spotted, you will be, you know, people will talk to you and things like that. I'm absolutely fine with that. Listen, I'm the most without blowing my own trumpet, I'm the most down-to-earth, laid-back kind of character you'll ever come across. So if that happens, then I will take all the time in the world to have a beer with these people, chat to these people, get to know these people, and if they're friendly to me, then that'll certainly be reciprocated. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm not one that goes looking for the attention or the limelight and all that, but I'm not going to be rude and say, leave me alone. I'm not sure it's going to be, like that. So I think maybe it might be a little bit different when I go out to watch the team because, well, I hope it is because my long-suffering wife needs a holiday and she needs to, she needs to be able to breathe and enjoy it herself. So I hope, if anything, it's a little bit more sort of hands-on when the football team are out there. And I would imagine that would be the case because these people that are coming out to watch Wrexham probably will have watched the show, which is why they're probably going to go and watch Wrexham. So I hope if it is a little bit bonkers, and it's a little bit bonkers the second time I come. But having said that, my wife's exactly like me, very nice, very laid back, and I'm looking forward to meeting people, and it'll be nice to get out of work for a few weeks and breathe and actually get some fresh air and I say talk about different things, but I have a feeling that if that's is to happen, then I'm just going to talk about Wrexham for 2 weeks on holiday. So, but that's fine, that's absolutely fine because I have to be brutally honest. This has been such a boost for our business that the least I can do is take 5-10 minutes and have a drink with these folk and talk about whatever they want to talk about. Like I say, I'm very laid back and all the rest of it. So yeah, bring it on. I'm really looking forward to America. I'm really excited. But I could be going to Timbuktu. I just need a holiday. I'm just I need to.
Whatever you do,
it's been 2 years of full on, really, 100 hours a week for 2 years, full on. So apart from a couple of days here and there where we get to Portugal, where we get a weekend to ourselves, it's been pretty extreme. But like I said at the start, it's all been one really good, positive ride. So I really hope it continues. And it's season 2 will be out in the summer. I'm not. We've requested to not be in it quite as much because there's other people in this town that deserve to tell their story. So. It's not just about me and the turf and the football team, although they always want to keep that link. They've told me that because it's such a big part. But I think it's only right that other people have their say and have their moment to shine. And so when that comes out, we'll have to see where that takes us. But at the moment, I love it. It's brilliant fun.
Dude, that's a brilliant close for us. Your modesty in light of the whole situation and willingness to step up and suggest, shine the light elsewhere as well. Is kudos to you, dude. That's a class move. Because there's plenty of people in this world that would not do that. So I can't thank you enough for coming on. I know you're approaching your next Zoom meeting, which I'm sure is not going to be anywhere near as fun as this Zoom meeting was.
It's actually a funny story. There's a gentleman who from Naples, Florida. I think that's where he's from.
Yeah.
He's been in touch. He's been chasing me for about 6 weeks, and I feel really, really bad because he phoned me and he owns a digital website firm of some description, and he wants to rebuild the turf website free of charge, which is so kind. And I've been fobbing him off and putting him off because we've had game after game after game, and the pub is, the people think it's just a football pub, but the football is only about 9% of our turnover. So the other 6.5 days or 7 days if there isn't a game that week, is still really busy. So I said, right, you know what? I'm talking to you gents tonight. Now would be the perfect opportunity to get it boxed off because I feel so guilty that he's doing this for me and I haven't had time to speak to him. So yeah, that's what the next one is.
Well, I tell you what, dude. We will extend the obvious open invite. When you're in the States, and if you ever add days to your trip, you come through the Midwest. We're 5 hours from Chicago. We're 4 hours from Nashville. I mean, we're kind of like that scene in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, where we're like 5 hours from everywhere, like in the honest. So, and we won't even talk about Kansas City because you don't want to go there. We'll get that out of the way. But Wayne Jones, thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Best of luck with the rest of the season with the team, and looks extremely promising. Love the opportunity. Maybe later in the summer, next fall, if you don't mind, we'd love to circle around, catch up, and just kind of let's see where we're at. We'll do a little snapshot, and you give us an update on how things are going. People here want to hear it because your story, the town story, the role soccer plays in your lives. There's a parallel here that I don't that you wouldn't have known about, but I'm telling you it exists, and we appreciate your time. So, Zach, thank you again for keeping us somewhat on the rails here, and if you give us a follow, Spotify, Apple, all that stuff, we'd love it. I'm gonna roll us out with some more Badfinger, unbeknownst to Wayne, is the greatest rock band from Wales. The K-She classic here. This song, Wayne, by the way, is Day After Day, and that's just literally how you have to live it. Just take it one day at a time, and add it to your rotation. Play it in the pub, and when we get off here, we'll catch up because we're going to figure out a way for the Soccer Dad Pod to buy your regulars around next time you're up there. So thank you. Good luck. We'll catch up with you soon. Zach, we'll see you at the practice fields.
Thank you, Wayne.
Cheers, guys.